tell us a little bit about the event you're here to speak at tonight?
Well, it's been put on by an organized group, I guess, and my wife is going to be with me, and so we're going to talk about our lives. We'll talk about how we met, actually, a bit about hockey, some of our ministry things we've done, and obviously we're going to talk about the spiritual side of life, and we will tell a few stories.
How do you think that affects athletes?
Well, we've been doing it for years. I mean, I became a Christian in 1975, and basically I've been speaking. I probably speak 100 times a year. So I've spoken in, I think it's 20 different countries now. I've spoken in every province, and I think most of the cities. So, but I enjoy it. I enjoy meeting new people for the first time, just like we have here. And and as long as I'm the right side of the sod, I'll probably be doing it.
And when you talk about religion and sports, is there a connection?
Oh, sure there is. I think with anything you do, I think that, well, I would say not religion, maybe spirituality is a better term that I would like to use. But when I first became a Christian, there was hardly any guys around that would stand up and say they were Christian. But now there's a ministry, Hockey Ministries International, and most NHL teams have chapels now. The Leafs have one, very big in the minor leagues. They really do a lot down there. So there's a way to look into it now. They've got some really good chaplains that help people. In our day, there was nobody to turn to. I mean, I wasn't going to go to church. I thought church was one of the most boring places in the world. And finally, I had a guy that spent a couple of years explaining what it was all about. And so thankful to him. He's one of my best friends in the world even today.
Of course, you can't talk to Paul Henderson without talking 1972. Do you ever get tired of talking about that?
No, because I don't have to talk about it really that much, because people want to tell me, people want to tell me, especially if they're alive, they want to tell me where they were, what they were doing, who they were with, and how they felt. So I just sit back and listen. In fact, yesterday, I was talking to a guy who was a lawyer. And he had a case, and the judge came to noon, and the judge says, listen, I've just gotten sick. I can't, I'm going to have to adjourn the court for today. The judge and the two lawyers that went across the road and watched the game in a pub. I mean, there was nothing wrong with them, but that's the first time I ever heard that, a judge shut the court down to watch the game. But so it's fun getting to hear all the stories.
Are you ever surprised at the rivalry between Canada and Russia? We just had it again at the World Hockey Championship.
Yeah, there's just something about it. There's just something about it. And I think it's, they surprised us so much in '72. And quite frankly, we weren't physically ready to play at the start of the season. We had to get in, or at the series, we had to get ourselves in shape. And that started the rivalry. And the Russians are very proud people, boy. And if there's any team in the world they like to beat, it's Canada. And so it's made for some great hockey.
How did you feel that moment when you scored the goal?
It's really a funny thing. Well, not funny, but it's ironic. You talk about a father-son bond. Actually, when the puck went over the line, my father had died in 1968. When the puck went over the line, I said out loud, Dad would have loved this. And I had a nanosecond of melancholy. But then I jumped into Cornway's arms, and I've been celebrating for 42 years, so it's been a pretty good ride.
Do you still follow hockey?
Oh, I still follow it, for sure do. The Leafs. And now, Babcock, hope springs eternal. So we'll start making the playoffs, and then we'll wait a couple of years before we win the Stanley Cup, okay?
What do you think about the state of the game?
Boy, it's a different game. It is so fast. I'd go out there and kill a penalty, and you'd go out there for 2 minutes, or you had a power play. I played with Normie and Ronnie, and if you ever went off before the 2 minutes was up, they'd shoot you. And now you could have three sets of penalty killers for 2 minutes. So the game, and the guys are so much bigger and stronger. The game is faster, and I am glad that I played when I did. I'll tell you what, it's a tough physical game right now.
And I was reading that your grandsons are pretty involved in the sport now.
Oh, they sure are. I've got a couple that live out in Oakville, and both are pretty competitive, and so we'll see. I mean, I'd love to see them, get a university education, get a scholarship or something like that. That would be terrific. It'd be a great experience. So, but as long as they wanna, well, I'll be there watching them, and they decide to hang it up. Well, that would be fine too, because the 13-year-olds had 2 concussions already, and so that's just it makes you wonder sometimes. But I had 6 of them, and I still know my name, so it's okay.
Do you think it gives them a little boost of pride out there on the ice, knowing that their grandfather had that special moment in hockey?
Well, they obviously know about it, and of course I think their buddies make more of a deal out of it. They're so used to us now and everything. But they, one of my favorite pictures I have in my house, the oldest one always wore 19, which was my number, and the younger brother, who was 4 years younger, he came along and we thought he'd want 19 too, but he didn't. He wanted 72, and we never thought about it. Till really, at Christmas time, my daughter sent me a picture of my two grandsons, their backs, 1972, and it's one of my favorite pictures in my home. My two grandsons with 1972 on their back. Pretty special.
There's been a lot of talk about you not being in the Hall of Fame. Is that something that bothers you at all?
Not one iota. I have gotten every other award there is in the country. I mean, the Queen's Jubilee, the Diamond Jubilee, the Order of Canada, the Order of Ontario, International Hockey Hall of Fame, and so there's got to be something you don't have. But I can honestly say that I think there's a lot of retired players that had far better careers than I did. And I think there's about 20 guys ahead of me, I would think. And if those 20 guys went in, then I would feel a lot better about it. But at this point, I got no problem whatsoever about not being in there. I live in the greatest country in the world. I got the greatest wife in the world. I got a great life. I have cancer, but I'm still alive. I got nothing to complain about.